welcome to Bear with Me and Styx Around podcast. I am Bear,
And I'm Styx. On our podcast, we talk about everything airsoft.
the man, the myth, the legend. Tonight we're interviewing Paul, the founder of COF Airsoft, which we will get into a lot tonight. Thank you, Paul, for being with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Paul, before we kick off, I have a personal question. Your
Yeah,
call
sure.
sign seems to me is called Firstti or FirsTI. If so, is there deeper meaning to it?
Well, a few years ago, I played paintball quite a lot. So, started in 1992. I was big into the Tipman and all of that. And eventually, a product came along that was called FirsTi. Now, it was made by Tiberius, and I'm not going to get too much into the technology of that, but it used to be like self-defense rounds for like these ridiculous guns that they've made, paintball, and these rounds were specifically designed for paintball sniping. Just to give you a rough idea, I think this was back in 2007, 2008, so a few years ago. And so, oh my word, it was $8 a round.
Jeez.
Sure.
So
Jeez.
they came in a tube of about, I think it's 8 rounds. Yes, I'm really going back now, and I was the first guy in South Africa actually playing with those rounds because I was the only one stupid enough to do it. It was just ridiculous, the price on those rounds, and I got the reputation Firstti for first strike from that.
Okay.
So
Ah,
it came from that. So the guys over there called me Firsty for first time because I used to shoot guys only once.
Once.
Well, if you're spending $8, you're not lasing them like these speedball guns. It's just literally just one shot, and that was it. I used to play paintball, and I would brag on, everyone's shooting like 200 rounds, when I would brag like, I shot 20, and then I would go home because that was my game. It was just too expensive to shoot more than 20, and then I ended up playing with the Tipman again with normal paintballs because it didn't really make a lot of sense to play with rounds like that. It was just stupid.
So you're saying 2007 you were playing paintball. So you've been in this sport or similar sport for a very long time.
Well, I actually started in 2002 playing paintball. So I played a few years paintball. I stopped playing paintball around 2010, around that time.
Okay.
So yeah, quite a few years.
I'm gonna jump ahead with the question here because seeing as we are talking about this, what got you into airsoft in the first place?
Just that's interesting. So I was servicing my paintball gun with the first strike rounds, and I had 12 rounds, and I was shooting them, in an enclosed um, place. Yes, we had this shooting range back when I was working for Comenius, and my brother was there as well, and he had his airsoft rifle. He actually started airsoft before I did. Now, I was quite a bit into the teching side of things, and I was already looking at the paintball airsoft rifles, and oh my word. He was like, okay, well, let's have a little bit of a shooting competition. Now, the ranges we were firing at weren't that far, about 50 meters. And I was blown away by this silly little airsoft rifle that was busy outperforming my very expensive paintball rifle. And that's pretty much when I decided to screw this. I'm not going to spend $8 firing around and, with a BB that's costing a few cents that is outperforming the paintball gun. And I immediately picked up the hobby. Started investing a little bit more time into it, learning about the hop ups and things, and yeah, and before I knew it, I put down the paintball gun and I was officially an airsoft.
Oh wow. I mean, from my point of view, I mean the reason I got into airsoft, 'cause I also used to play bush games with the paintball, and I just felt like the airsoft was gave me a bit more, so I'd say, realism to the type of gameplay that I would like to play. Is that the
Yeah,
same for you?
it's yeah, definitely. If you have to compare the two, airsoft is way more realistic. I know a couple of my paintball buddies who always go, "Oh no, paintball is more realistic, because you feel the pain and you take the cover." And it's a bunch of, I'm not going to swear, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, please don't.
No, 100.
Well, that's very cool. I really like that. So Firstti for First Strike, and does anyone call you by that call sign?
Oh, not as much anymore, really. But it is something that the old paintball guys will look at. Oh, Firstti, yeah, he's playing airsoft now, and it's just something that I keep around so that if someone from my old paintball buddies will go online and say, "Oh, Firstti, oh, I remember Firstti, that's Paul," and yeah, that's it. That's usually how these guys would get a hold of me. I know Jay Yohinku actually. I think he's been playing now for a year. He used to be one of my old paintball buddies. Just one day decided, listen, there's no more guys playing paintball anymore, so I'm going to try and pick up airsoft. And he was the first guy that kept on telling me, no, airsoft is for sissies, you should keep playing paintball. Now he's an airsofter, so the irony is thick.
Yeah, that is. Well, I think when I see you next, I'll definitely start calling you by the call sign. I think that's something
Ah, so
to
it's fine.
keep going, because I mean, following that, I hear it all the time when we play games, like the fear that players have for you.
Oh
Why
my word.
why do you think that is?
Because they don't know me, man. I'm a terrible player. I get shot a lot. I'm not really good at this sport. Honestly, I think there are guys way better than me. But I have to say, fear, it's most of the time, 90% of the time, because they don't know me, honestly.
See, me, I know you, but you still make me dodge left, right, and center whenever you see me on field. So there is that fear factor just there, because I know it's like last time we were at, I think, Site 76, and I was approaching one building, and next thing I just hear coming against the wall. I was pretty much diving into the bush just to get away.
Well, maybe it was me trying to shoot someone else and you just got in the way. Who knows? Maybe I didn't even see you.
Well, with the LMG, I don't think the point is to see anyone. It's to keep heads down and just blow
Exactly.
everyone away. Eh?
Accuracy through volume.
They call it squad killers. So fair enough. Um, Paul, on this, we're talking about the different communities. We talk about the paintball and the airsoft communities. What attracts you to airsoft community, or the airsofters and the community?
Well, the first thing that got me into this hobby was basically the honesty. It's a weird sport where you actually have to trust the person that you're playing against. This is why I believe airsoft is not really good for a tournament style. This is just my personal belief. Of course, there are guys that's going to believe something else. But for me, this game relies heavily on trust. And the better you are at people trusting you, the more people are going to gravitate to playing with you or even against you. You'll quickly realize when I play airsoft, I normally like to play against my friends. Even if I'm against all of my friends, I would play like that. It's more of a challenge. It's also, if I do poorly, I can just go and say, oh, I'm playing against guys who understand how I play. So I feel bad when losing. So for me, it's literally just try and be against my friends because I know I can trust them to call their hits and be honest. And this is what separates the hobby a little bit for me, because honestly, when that trust falls apart, the game falls apart.
Yeah.
You have to have that trust. And in order to be an airsoft for a very long time, you have to trust the people around you. If you don't trust the people, you're not going to stick in this hobby for long. You will always have this opportunity where you shoot someone, you go, yeah, I wonder if I shot him. And then you go, I bought myself a little run cam, just to see if I can catch cheaters. And the opposite actually happened. Most of the time the guys are honest, and it's me not seeing the BB trajectory or hitting like a little leaf or something in the way, and suddenly the round deflects, and then I go, I obviously didn't hit them. And it really brought me perspective that most of the time these guys are trying to be as honest as possible.
Yeah.
If they are cheating, it's probably in an area which they didn't feel the shot, or if they are cheating, they're not just cheating my rounds, they're cheating other people's rounds. So if I have a bunch of people complaining about a person, it's normally quite easy to ID them and give them warnings or even separate them from us. That's something that we do all the time. At the marshals, we try and keep the community clean.
And I agree with you on that. I mean, I've had it before. Well, actually, we had this discussion with the previous interviewer as well, and we were talking about certain international players that like to post these quarter cheater videos, and for me, it's like obviously we don't like cheaters in the game because it is 100% honesty game, but you also don't want to post these things because it's destroying the community as well. You're trying to keep a good vibe within this community, and it's like you say, if the honesty and the integrity breaks down, the game breaks down. I mean, when we play, and we often play against TC, the tunnel conglomerate guys, and we know when we play against it, we don't need marshals because we know guys are going to be honest, and that's what makes the game so enjoyable because you're there trying to adapt your skills and learn new skills and see how you're comparing against other guys in a real sim situation to a degree. But you don't want to have this animosity about that guy's cheating and now you're causing fights with it. I absolutely 100% agree with you on that point.
Yeah, look, it's a difficult thing. Cheaters are always going to be everywhere. You're going to find them in online games. You're going to find them in paintball. You're going to find them in airsoft. You're going to find them everywhere. We, the marshals, have a very strict system that we don't just individually ban players. We usually discuss it. We've got about 8 guys in our COF officer group, and these guys always look at bunch more angles than what one individual can see, and we normally will most definitely handle it very delicately. We do not make it public. We do not, scold people or whatever. People just realize that a person that used to be a problem doesn't play anymore, and that's all they need to know. They don't need to know how that person was banned or how it was handled. But I can give you a little bit of background of how we do it. It's most of the time it's just a warning, and then we give them like a 6 months period where they can cool down. And then if they afterwards want to come back into our community and try again, they are more than welcome to do so after the 6 months. And 6 months is a long time, trust me.
It is a long time.
It's a very long time. And then after that 6 months, you normally get a person to come back. And it's almost like a changed individual. We don't get complaints about him anymore. Of course, we've had issues where people would just referred back to their cheating ways, and eventually we would get rid of them. But this is quite rare if it does occur. We have banned in our career. Let me just pull up my notepad here. Sorry, I wasn't ready. I'll quickly check for you now. I'm not going to read out names for obvious reasons, but let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and that's 27 since 2017 once we've implemented this system. So 27 people have been officially completely banned in our community, and quite a few have been given chances. I think that we've got, about 10 guys here that have had second chances that came back and played without any issues. So the system works. It's just
I think it's important to note that this is 27 over a space of almost, it's like 9 years, almost 8 years. So it's not like, okay, there's a lot of cheaters and there's like just an instant ban type of thing. It's over a space.
No.
So it definitely just for new any listeners that are new or looking at to getting into airsoft. I mean, again, integrity is the basis of this game, and it's good to know that yes, it is strict as life is, as a military is, because this is essentially a military type of game. There has to be rules, and there has to be consequences for guys that break the rules. So I'm glad to hear that it is actually. I mean, essentially, there's 27 guys banned. and 10 guys that have gotten warnings and gotten a second chance. So I like the fact of that because it just means in COF itself, there's a lot of good players. I mean, COF is big. How big is the community in COF at the moment?
Yes. You're putting me on a spot here. The last time, okay, we are developing. I'm going a little bit ahead here now, but we are developing a new website. So we are taking all the registrations that we have on the website now. We're pulling it over to the new website. And as it is right now, we've got 1,400 people registered on that site.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so if
Wow,
you
that
look
is
at
a
that's
huge.
1,400 people that registered, played a game, and then suddenly 27 people doesn't sound a lot.
No, not at all. And that's huge. I mean, that's just nice to know that if you go to a COF game, you're going to have a good turnout and you're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Numbers are a little bit low right now. Economy is taking a bit of a hit. Even Walker, we had a little bit of conversation. The guys that know Walker, Henry from Walker War Game, said he saw a little bit of a dip right now in sales, and it is a little bit on the slow side right now. But this is far from the worst we've ever seen it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it is bad, but it's really not as bad as it was a few years ago. We used to have airsoft games for like 6 guys, and we continuously hosted for those 6 guys whole game. And yeah, I mean, we got low numbers now. They go up, they go down. It's just the nature of this organization.
Yeah, I think it's the nature of life. I mean, you're going to have your ups and your downs in any market and economy. So yeah, there's sometimes going to be slow years, and sometimes it's going to be fantastic years. But
Yeah.
still, I mean, currently at a COF game, like an open game, there's probably what close to 100 guys playing.
Well, for the big games, yeah, 100 guys.
Okay,
Small games, it could sometimes be 20. Smaller games, we don't care. We'll still host a game. We'll still give you a good
100%.
game. It doesn't really matter. The numbers are not what builds a community. It's actually the small games that end up building the community, to be honest. If you
Yeah,
just fixate on big numbers, you're eventually just going to end up as a small organizer.
fair enough. So, Paul, I want to ask you something. We mentioned about us having to face you with your LMG. So, we know you've got an HPA LMG. First question I have, do you have a name for
Yes. Fuck yeah, this is corny.
it? Like, I've got a name for my rifle. Every rifle I have has got a name.
Yeah, that's true. I've got names for all my rifles as well. My HPA rifle, my brother used to be very big in online gaming, and when he passed away, we actually, yeah, it hit me very hard. I was knocked down quite a bit when that happened, and he
I'll be
actually
sorry
ended
for
up
your loss.
being,
You didn't actually even know. I'm
yeah,
sorry for your loss.
thanks guys. No, so yes, even though he was driving me crazy sometimes, as brothers would, but I ended up calling my stoner his gamer tag, which is such a lame gamer tags. He has 2 gamer tags. Noobs are people too. That's what I'm saying.
I love that.
And the other one that is actually a little bit more what I call is Kilgrim.
Kilgrim.
Yeah, that's
So, like
all
the
it is.
Grim
Sorry,
Reaper, eh?
Kilgrim. Sorry.
Kilgrim. Okay.
Yes, that one. So yeah, that's the name for the stoner, and yeah, I mean, it gave the name to the stoner when he passed away. That was pretty much it. And then afterwards, I gave all my other rifles names.
Okay. Now, is that your favorite class that you like playing, LMG support role?
To be honest, I do like LMG a lot, but I feel like DMR is a little bit more skill dependent, and I sometimes would play that just to to work a little bit on my stealth and my movements. And then when I just want to fool around or I'm playing a very competitive game, I would play with the LMG, which takes less skill. I'm going to be honest with you guys. LMG doesn't take a lot of skill. You just need to know how to suppress, and you need to shout-proof movements, and that pretty much narrows it down for me. Now, I really don't want to trigger LMG players, but for me, playing LMG is less of a skill thing and more of a commanding thing where you can push movements and things.
But that is essentially what an LMG is supposed to be. If you look at operations, that's actually what they're supposed to be. Suppress move, right? So
Yeah,
if your
that's true.
team
Yes.
can't flank, you can't win. So, I mean,
As
whether
we
they trigger
mentioned,
or not, that's the truth.
as we
Yeah,
mentioned
that's the truth.
earlier, it's
Maybe
meant to keep heads
maybe
down.
it for me it doesn't feel that bad. Maybe for me it feels easier to play LMG than with a DMR or a recon or even rifleman, to be honest. Um, but it is one of my favorite classes to play by far. It's LMG.
Okay, and you've got your elite patch on that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I do.
Give us
Even
a
when we
bit insight of what does it mean to have an elite patch, especially in an LMG setup.
Okay, so what the special forces give me as a support gunner is literally just for a support light, it gives me a zero point 0.1 more energy. That's basically it. So it's not a massive thing, but when you have adjustable regulator on your HPA, instead of me playing around with 1.8 joules, I am now allowed to play at 1.9 with a little bit more of a standoff gauge in minimum engagement range. Now, that gives me a little bit more weights I can play with. I do like the fours, very expensive, but very, very accurate when you put that in an LMG, and it gives you a lot of range, like a
Well, we
lot of
already established you like paying £8 a round for paintball, so I wouldn't have put that past you, to be honest.
well, one round, 8 rand, 8 rand. You know, one burst, 8 rand.
That's pretty much so, because those, especially with the HPA, the rate of fire is quite high. It's fast.
Yeah, I run it around. I know people do like HBA to run very high rates of fire. I normally run mine around 15 rounds a second.
That's still, well, I think that's average, isn't it?
It is, it
That's
is.
pretty much
But
average.
when you're running .4s, you know,
Yeah.
even that 15 rounds a second sounds terrifying, going through brush and everything, and that's enough for people to pull back, you know, or fall back.
I was going to ask you, is it terrifying for them or terrifying for your wallet? Because that does sound.
Both. It's both. But for me, it hurts me far more than it hurts the enemy players, to be honest. It really does.
Now, that was something that actually we talked about a while ago, saying what's the differences between the 0.28s, 0.3s, and 0.4s? Because essentially you want to get more accuracy out of it. Now, your 0.4s are heavier BBs, but that means they travel slower. However, you won't have the deviations on necessarily on twigs and little leaves and stuff. But is it really that much difference with the BBs?
Well, it depends on range. If you're going to engage people at around 40 plus meters and you're looking at longer ranges, you need to look at the heavyweights, especially when you play a LMG to, you know, the highest energies it can go. So when you do that, you want to run .4s, all 3.6s around there. It's very expensive, but it's going to work out cheaper at longer range to do a short burst of fours and hit your targets than hammering it with 2.5s, not hitting it at all. So yeah, you want something that's going to have a little bit of oomph behind it, you know, inertia, and the fours are brilliant for that.
Okay, cool. Paul, I want to get a bit into COF Airsoft. I think one of the main things I like to have the viewers is to understand COF and know why it's such a great organization. So what made you decide to start COF? When and why?
Oh, yes. Okay. So a few years ago, when we started playing Airsoft, we saw a little bit of a problem with organizations enforcing rules and also enforcing honor. Some of these guys were literally hosting games for guys who had a reputation of not just being honest, but being aggressive and, you know, cursing all over the place and just creating a bad vibe overall and putting off new players. And we felt like, well, let's start small. Let's start a group of guys that just like to play airsoft together, you know. That's how it officially started. COF will always, at its core, be small. So we don't really like the idea of having an organization of like thousands of people. because it really takes the focus away of what we try at COF Airsoft, and that is a small group. That doesn't mean that we always will be a small group, but our fixation will always be the individual players in COF Airsoft and how we can cater to those guys. Now, of course, we can make mistakes. We can make mistakes like, oh, we're only going to cater to the elite players, or we're only going to cater to the new players, or things like that. You have to find like this area which is best for both of them, which you have the elite players coming back. They feel like, okay, I'm being accepted in this organization. I'm being catered to this organization. And then the new players look at the elite players and go, geez, I want to get there. I actually want to get the special forces. I actually want to get the warlord. I actually want to get those patches because I feel like I could progress in this community. Where other organizations are great, for socials and maybe just showing up for a bachelor's, but it doesn't really cater for the long game.
Yeah. I think also, I mean, speaking on a personal level, when we got into COF, I think we decided to join COF last year. And the first thing I wanted to do was get my family patch. I think that was my priority and my goal. And luckily I got it. I think beginning of this year, I got that patch. And I think that speaks a lot about what the community is. It's a family, and whenever I go there, people are there to help each other. They're there to look out for each other. And it's just an enjoyable time. And I mean, I enjoy it. I love it.
Yes. It's such a good feeling, when someone comes up to you saying, yes, finally, I've got my family patch. And it's nothing like, oh, just your family patch, No, the family patch means a lot. It means that you've spent time with us. It means that you've spent time learning the rules, and now you've got your first patch, and now you're gunning for your class patch, and now you're part of us, you're part of family. But I'm not just saying you have your family patch, now you're part of the family. New players playing the very first game, if you give it your all and you're going to be honest and you like playing with us, you don't necessarily have to be a family member to be part of our family. You could be a family member from the first game. It's just cemented in stone when you have that patch.
That's true. But it's like you're just saying, it's something that you work towards, something that you gain towards. I think everything in life, and I think in a human's nature, is to improve yourself. If you're not improving yourself, you're falling behind, So it's something to achieve. And when you achieve it, it's not only that you feel good about you achieved it, but it's proof that I've done something awesome.
Very true.
Paul, now we kind of touched on that in terms of, what makes COF great, but what would you say for a new player coming into Airsoft? Like, why would you say, join COF? COF is a good place to be.
Well, first off, there's a bunch of really good organizations out there, not just COF. So if you want to play Airsoft and you don't know where to go, the best place to go first is just to go to your local store. Just Google your local Airsoft store and go interact with those guys. Talk a little bit to them. Ask what sort of games are close by and where can I play. That's the very first step, and then you'll find your community. When you start playing with those guys often. So even though COF Airsoft is a organization, one of a few, there are other organizations out there as well. I would recommend Jared from Urban Airsoft. He's a really good guy, and he has a really kick-ass community. So, you can try and get a hold of him and play with him. But, of course, there's other organizations that we do not recommend. I'm not going to mention some of them here, but for that, you're going to have to go to the shops and talk to them, and they'll give you the lowdown which organizations are good and which organizations are bad and which organizations you should just stay clear of. But ideally, if you want to try Airsoft and you really, really want to play Airsoft, I could tell you now, 90% of the guys out there are going to give you the shirt off their back. They just want you to play with them. They want you in this community, and it's very easy to make friends. So if you don't really have friends, or you're the only person that you can get to try Airsoft out, just do it. you'll be amazed with the type of people you'll meet and the type of individuals you can be friends with. I mean, I want to mention all my friends in this podcast, but I'll tell you, there's some weirdos out there. But if I met them, I would never be friends with them. There's just no way. And suddenly, I am not just friends with them; I am best friends with them. And Airsoft did
Yeah,
that.
that is true. I think you find a lot of interesting characters. Well, I mean, guess anywhere, but you do find a lot of interesting characters, and it just draws you to some of them. I think
Yeah.
even in our own group and our own team, we've got some, I'll just say interesting characters.
Yeah,
But
interesting.
having a beer with them is like one of the most entertaining things that you can experience.
Look, I'll never go to their house and sit down with them. But at an airsoft game, any day of the week.
So we're talking about the class ranks and the family patch and stuff like that, and we did say that it's something to achieve towards. But do you feel like it's something that really makes the players in the COF community more involved, more present, and more geared towards that? Hey guys, Bear here from Bear With Me and Styx Around podcast. I have some very exciting news. Bruce from Airsoft League SA and Airsoft X have given us 2 tickets for any 2 of our lucky winners on a lucky draw competition to win tickets into Airsoft X valued at 550 Rand each. It's very simple on how to get it. The first ticket is anyone as a lucky draw that has subscribed to our YouTube, has become a follower on our Facebook page on SA Airsoft Magazine, and also registered on our website at SA Airsoft Magazine will get a draw or an entry into a draw. You can also get additional entries if you share the YouTube as well as the Airsoft Magazine on your social medias with hashtag AirsoftX giveaway as well as hashtag Bear With Me and Styx Around podcast. The second ticket, anyone that has bought a ticket from 1st of July all the way to end of August, the 31st of August, will get a full refund on their ticket. So guys, don't miss out. Go, subscribe, like, share, and let us know. We're looking forward to our first episode dropping on the 17th. So, activate the notification. See you guys soon.
How's it, guys? It's Styx from Just Bear With Me and Styx Around podcast. We'd like to thank SA Airsoft Magazine for making the July and August issues free to read for those who have registered on the website in July and August. So once again, thank you SA Airsoft Magazine for sponsoring this video.
Yeah. Look, it is this hobby is very interesting. It's very interesting on so many levels. I can't really start to explain to you where it begins and where it ends. It's so unique. You really can't compare it to anything else.
Yeah, 100%. Now, we talked about the how strict or the integrity and stuff like that, and we saw that there's 27 bans already on COF. And obviously, it is vitally important to some degree that there's strictness in it. But would you say that it is the highest priority in the community, or is it just something that you guys find like it is an important thing to have?
No, I think the highest priority in any organization is the family. That's the first thing. And treating people, giving them second chances is very important. You can't just go out and say, oh, this guy is a bad guy and he's not supposed to play with us. You should learn someone on an emotional level, because we all have bad days. Maybe this day was a bad day for this guy, and every individual should be treated individually. So you have to have that focused first on that idea of people can make mistakes before you can go out and implement a ban for this guy and a ban for that guy, whatever. You have to be very careful with that, because you don't want just the reputation of the strictest organization. I feel you need the reputation of the most fairest organization first. And we all make mistakes, you know. But I think with the system that we have and so many eyes to help regulate players, I think we have a pretty solid system. And I think I wouldn't say it's the most fairest. I believe my personal experience is the most fairest. And that's enough for me, you know.
That's a very good point that you make. I mean, we all are people in the end of the day, and we all have bad days. I mean, I've had bad days, and I mean, you've experienced one of my bad days on a game. But as long as you can, go, okay, I'm sorry, it was a moment that I had. That's again, so like you said, brothers fight, and in the end of the day, we are family.
Yep.
And you have the moments, and as long as you can go, look, I'm really sorry. It was nice. Well, it wasn't nice, but it's nice to be part of this. We'll move on. And we there's proof. I mean, there's absolute proof that even after our bad experience or bad moment, we're still here enjoying each other's company, and just
Yeah,
that's something in the past. And
that's true.
so important for young players coming into this community to know, because as you mentioned, there is some communities that might not be good for you to be in, and
No.
part of that is because of how people react and act in certain regards. So it's good for me. I really want the young blood listeners or guys that are looking into getting to airsoft to understand why I personally enjoy COF as well, because especially this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Look, we all have bad days, and I think it is very important. The more you play this game, the more you realize that this is just a hobby. You know, you can play competitively, and it's really fun to play competitively. It's fun to strategize with your friends, and it's fun to work on a team plan. But you always have to be prepared that what and how are you going to act if this doesn't play out the way you want it to play out?
Mm.
Are you going to be the guy that's going to shout at everyone? Are you going to be the guy that's going to accept defeat? And even if you're not 100% sure if the guys that you played against are honest, are you going to be that guy that's going to spoil their victory? It's a tricky situation, you know, it really
Mm.
is. And to be honest, when you start looking at those things and you look at yourself, you realize that you are only human, you know, and you might say things that you regret later. And I think it's very important for us to keep talking, you know, even if you had a bad experience with a player, go out, socialize with the guy, you know, and get to learn the guy. You get to learn him on a personal level, you know, congratulate him. I can guarantee you, if he really cheated that game, it's only a matter of time before he cheats at the next game or the next game, and then he's going to become, you know, something we get on our radar, the Marshall's radar, and over time, the person will be identified. So that's all that matters, you know. Is just keep giving people a chance. That maybe that situation was one of those weird situations that you don't really know if the guy cheated or not, and just take solace in the fact that if he really is a cheater, he will eventually be caught. That's all you need to know, and just play the game, have fun, don't take it too serious.
And I think that's life lessons, and that's kind of something earlier I wanted to allude to, is that airsoft brings out life lessons to people. And this is a big life lesson that if you learn now, it helps you. Even in a work space, it's something you're never gonna get along with everyone. You're gonna butt heads, and you're gonna clash with someone. If as long as you can just shake hands, move on, you're gonna get far in life.
No,
Yeah, that's true.
I agree with Paul on the whole concept of when you need to keep talking with one another. As soon
Yeah,
as you stop talking, that's where the problems start arising. Because
Yeah,
there's now misunderstanding. It's this person's assuming that communication is key.
communication.
yeah, it's very true. Even in relationships, you know, man and wife or girlfriend and boyfriend, talking is so important. It is the one thing that keeps family together. If you don't talk, family falls apart.
Yeah, 100%. But Paul, getting to something a little bit more less serious, yeah. Well, maybe not less serious in a it's pretty cool in a COF sense, but less serious in terms of a personal development sense. But we've been following COF socials, and we've been seeing that you guys have been bringing on new fields and constant development on it. And it's and I mean, it's exciting for us as well. But what is the big drive to this, getting new fields? Is it something that you want to get new fields, or are you going to rather focus on developing the fields that you existingly have?
That's a very interesting question. I'm actually very happy you brought that up. So, first off, new fields are always exciting. People always want to try out new fields, and it also brings in new community members because some fields are a little bit too far for others.
Mm.
But you have a strong point there that fields also need to be developed, but it always depends on what type of field you want to develop. Certain fields, when you look at security, they have issues. You have people walking on the field randomly, you have to call blind man all the time. And if a person can just have access on the field at any time, they can very easily carry things off the field. That's a problem. So
Mm.
we had this field, Quito, which we really wanted to develop, and we actually spent some money, to put things on it. And 2 weeks later, 50% of the stuff we put on there and we invested in was carried away. So we are quite careful developing certain fields.
Mm.
But I think you've noticed that we are starting to develop Nimrod now. We've moved the parking area a little bit to further down the field,
Yep.
and now it has opened up the field that we actually want to develop. I mean, where the guys used to park, right across there, there's this parking open area. We always wanted to develop that area, but because of where the cars were situated, we couldn't because obviously that would be too close to the cars
Yeah.
and people can shoot the cars and people, sitting in the safe zone. Now that the field has now moved further down, we have permission from the owner, and also we feel a little bit more comfortable with developing that field, that we are going to start developing Nimrod into something that is going to be very special, and not going to give away too much of what we want to do because a lot of our finances are now going into website development. But what I can tell you now is shipping containers, they make
Okay.
really
A good
they
time.
make really good play area.
Okay.
So with enough support from the community and enough finances, we might see something popping up at Nimrod. It's just gonna be so awesome.
So that was the question I wanted to ask you later on. Like, is there something, a little Easter egg or something juicy? And I think you just answered it. Thank you for
Just
that.
something
So,
juicy, yes, something juicy. Again, don't get overly excited because we are looking at the time period of at least 2 years, but that's something to look out for.
absolutely.
While we're on the topic of fields, Paul, out of all the fields that COF has, which is your favorite and why?
Yes, my favorite field is not going to be everyone's favorite field. Most guys like Tierpoort, and then you have some guys that like Nimrod, and then you have some guys that like some old fields that we don't play anymore, like Building 52, which has a very close place in my heart, even though I'm not a CQB player. The field I enjoy the most is Site 76, and I know it's such a weird thing to say because Site 76 is not really special for a lot of people. It's far distance. You have to walk far to get to objectives and all that. But for me, I like the long game. I like the strategy. I like the bush. That's my type of field. So Site 76 is a very close place in my heart.
I think it's like you're saying now in terms of the game style. So Site 76, and we've played there on the one SLE game, I believe earlier this year. And it's a walk. I mean, there's so much in there. You've got thick bush, you've got some few buildings here and there, but the objectives and the storyline that you can build there is just next level. I mean, there's even a cliff face that you can climb up to,
Yep.
which makes it a complete. I mean, you got so much variety of options in objectives that you can do there.
Yes. Well, Eagle's Nest is that's what we call the cliff. That is not for everyone, Not a lot of people have seen Eagle's Nest. Some guys have played Site 76 for years, but as soon as I mention Eagle's Nest, they go home.
I can I can proudly say I've climbed that cliff face myself and fought up there.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult, but not if you guys have done it. And the guys who have done it, I guess I want to make a patch for those guys. But how am I ever going to know?
How you ever gonna true?
Yes.
Um, dig into some of these events. So obviously there's a lot of organizers, or how you call them, sub-organizers within COF. What what is the biggest event COF is hosting, has hosted, or is hosting this year?
Our biggest event was Roycut. It was a night ops game where we had, um, geez, sorry, I need to just clarify with my wife here. How many choppers were there? 3 or 4?
Oh wow.
Sure.
Okay, there were 4 choppers there, but we used 3. One was for taking videos and photographs, and the other 2 was deploying troops on the field and shooting from. That was insane.
Wow.
Wow. That just
That
sounds like
is,
fun. Yo.
that is
Yep.
crazy.
So we had over 400 people in that game, and might not be the biggest game ever hosted in South Africa, but it was the best.
I
It was
mean, 4
great.
choppers is crazy. I mean, that's not something I've ever heard of or seen. I'm quite disappointed that I wasn't at that game.
Same.
Yeah, we also have a patch that is very rare, the Flyboy patch. I think we have very few people still playing the game with that patch. So Flyboy is something to look out for. So if you ever see the Flyboy patch, you know they were playing and fighting in those choppers. It was just I'm so proud of that game, to be honest. It was such a testament, but it was so expensive. The game fee um, covered some of the money that the choppers were used for, but I personally forked out 60 grand
Wow.
extra to get those choppers there. And it was me paying that fee over the course of a year of game fees that we all put together and put it together, and we played that freaking amazing game. I don't think I'll ever do it again. It's just too
Okay.
expensive. But if we are one day big enough, and we have people willing to pay the fee to fly in those choppers will fly again. It's just something that I want to really do again one day. And the guys at Group 73, if they're listening to this podcast, they are hammering me, asking me when they can do it again, because some of those guys are veteran bush war pilots. So when we gave them guns, they just went nuts. They flew those choppers, like they would fly the choppers with players and things, in them, because they felt like this is a liability.
Safety.
If something
Yeah.
should happen to the chopper, and the person, would get injured, they would be liable for it. But as soon as we gave them airsoft guns, we told those pilots that they can go out and they can now shoot people. We saw some of those alouettes do things that I would normally never think those choppers would do. It was just such a privilege to see those guys fly those choppers. It was amazing.
The golden days.
The
Reliving
golden
them,
days. Look, they're
eh?
still there. We just need the moolah,
The
the
moolah.
money to do it.
Well, I think that's something that one needs to maybe say, like, okay, we're going to start investing or speak to players like myself. I mean, I'll make sure it's okay. Every COF game I'll play, I'll pay in an extra cash just so that we can have that experience in the future.
Look, we can do it again, definitely. We've done it before. We can do it again. It's just people are always when you say, "Oh, I'm for it," let's do it. And then when you have to pay the money, it's like, "Oh, not this month. Maybe next month." And before you know it, the whole initiative just dies down.
Just like
Just give me a
But
year in advance and I'll have the money saved up.
okay,
that's one person. So we need to make sure we get a lot of people on. So
yeah,
everyone listening to this podcast, if you want to experience something like that, and I mean, if you ever wondered what a war zone would sound or feel like, that would be your best experience to know what it sounds and feels like. I
yeah.
mean, if
Look,
you're being
I'm
shot
for it.
from a helo, you're gonna look for the nearest cover, gonna hit the
Yeah.
deck.
Now, Paul at Group 73 will love me when I call him up and say, "Man, I've got the money." He actually wanted to do it like cheaper than last time, so their guys can just fly again. And then they went over the numbers, and then it didn't work out. It's just the money we generated on our side and the money they put together on their side. We just couldn't do it for like the border war game. We really tried, and unfortunately, we didn't get enough member support to fly those choppers. But hopefully that will change, and then one day we can have them on the field again.
Amen to that.
It'll be
Well, I just
awesome.
got a last few. Yeah, absolutely. There's a last few questions that I need to ask you. So yes, you've got HPA. You also have rentals that are HPA, but your preference or your opinion, HPA or AEG?
Both. There
Both.
is, I'm telling you now, the technology in AEGs are incredible these days with the MOSFETs and the pre-cocking, and they could perform just as good as the HPAs. Honestly, this is a game of passion and dedication. You can be, oh, I'm going to beat a guy and I'm going to invest all my money. I'm going to sell my bike. I'm going to sell my fishing gear. I'm going to buy the best airsoft rifle ever. And then they show up at the game and they completely suck. This is a game where your experience actually dictates of how good your rifle performs. You know what hop up to use. You know what settings to program in your HPA. You know how to set your hop up and play properly. This is not really a money game. Even though a lot of guys would like to think that way, you can invest a lot of money to really get your rifle to fire really well. But ultimately, if you know your AEG, you will outperform any HPA player that is who just bought their gun like 2 weeks ago and playing their second game or their first game. You'll always outperform those guys because you just know a little bit more than they do, and you will perform a little bit better than they do. So ultimately, if you play long enough, it doesn't really matter with what kits you play. You will learn your role, either if it's a sniper or a support gun or whatever. As long as you consistently play that role, you will learn what works and what doesn't work. I definitely recommend, if someone is thinking of playing a HPA, just pick up a decent AEG rifle. Really learn the ropes before you pick up a HPA, because you are going to spend a lot of money and you're going to realize that this is not just a plug and play system. There's a lot you still need to learn about just airsoft in general to have fun. This is why you see some of these HPA guns being built and then put on like a black market group or the airsoft market group, and then they don't want to play airsoft anymore because the gun isn't performing as they want it to. And the secret is you just need to play more to figure out what works and what doesn't work.
And I think it's very important for new players coming into it to understand that the best way, and this is in real operations, real steel guns as well, the person who knows his gun the best is the guy that's going to be the hardest to fight against. It's just the fact. So don't just go for the best and the brightest. Really know your rifles before then. Well, we're running slightly out of time here, so I have one more question for you. And this is a question I ask on the podcast for every interviewee. What is your favorite brand? So we're doing battle of the brands. So what is your favorite brand and why?
All right. Jeez, there's so many little bits and pieces in airsoft. If you're going to say brand, hop-ups, I love Maple Leafs. Not a big fan of their silicone rubbers, but I do love Maple Leafs in general. Barrels, I've been sticking with the Maple Leaf barrels as well. Prometheus makes some great stuff as well. If you're talking about gun brands, that could become debatable. My favorite brand used to be LCT. I've got two very expensive LNGs, LCT. The Stoner is a GMP. That's my favorite gun. Is GMP my favorite brand? No, it's not. LCT, they actually the shell of the LCTs great, but performance not the greatest. There are guns outperforming some LCTs. Beginner guns, I like the G&G guns. They're really nice. They're really, really nice, G&G. So if I have to look at a general brand, I like the G&Gs. But then you look at the double barrels and what double barrels been doing.
True. So true.
Freaking hell. Those guns are
so
cheap and freaking reliable, And the internals are rock solid. Yes, they're full metal. They're brilliant. So I don't know. I can't give you... If I have to shoot in the dark, I'm going to say, if you've got tech knowledge, LCT. If you're starting out, double barrel or G&G. If you go for the gas blowback, GHK, but Tokyo Marui is right on there. There's so many brands out there. I don't have a favorite. You know what my favorite is? A gun I pick up that works. That's my favorite brand.
That's so true. Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this podcast.
Thank you for having me,
Really,
man.
really good. Talking about the stuff in airsoft and talking about COF and your personal stuff. Thank you for sharing so much. Sticks,
It's a
anything that
huge
you want
pleasure.
to ask or
Uh,
say?
all I want to say is, where can our listeners find you on social media?
On social media, they can find my personal profile, Paul Firstti. They can find me on the social media is COF Airsoft, and our website, of course, is cofairsoft.com. Yeah, I mean, I'm a very chilled guy. You can reach out to me any day and any time, and I'll reply to you. Maybe the longest I can take to reply to you is maybe a day. I do get quite a few messages of people who want to book private events or people asking about airsoft in general. So don't take it personally if I don't get back to you right away. But yeah, you don't have to be scared. I will never ever be angry at you unless you call me past 12 at night. And yes, it does happen.
Yes,
I only have so much patience.
that's so true. Well, Paul, again, thanks so much. The legend, Paul Firstti from COF.